I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
2,340. I have recited those words 2,340 times every day from kindergarten to senior year of high school. I grew up in Washington, a state named for our first president. Some of my favorite songs as a child were Lee Greenwood's God Bless the USA and John Philip Sousa's Stars and Stripes Forever. We celebrated Veterans Day with an assembly at school and Independence Day with fireworks at home. Growing up American was easy. It is only now that I'm older, the words of the Pledge of Allegiance still inscribed on my soul from 2,340 repetitions, that I start to critically examine their message. I look up the history of the pledge. I learn that it was originally written as a marketing tactic to sell more American flags to elementary schools in conjunction with a Columbus Day ceremony. I realize now that just as the flag is a symbol of national pride, the pledge might be a symbol of American capitalism and ignorance. If you had to describe an American identity in one word, what word would you use?
Patriotism.
Liberty.
Freedom.
Unrest.
And to the republic for which it stands.
If the flag stands for our republic, what does our republic stand for? When I think of America today, I think of militarism and capitalism, of dominant narratives of whiteness and the millions of people of color who live in for-profit prisons because our society has determined that is the best way to remove the other, of children who are afraid to go to school for fear of getting shot because adults can't agree on legislation to help keep them safe, of incessant name-calling on social media and news outlets because we are so polarized that we would rather dismiss others' ideas outright than really talk to them. I think of T. Bowie's memoir, The Best We Could Do, and how she feels compelled to share her parents' stories of Vietnam because they are more nuanced than the American version of that war, and how when she talks about the famous photograph Saigon Execution, she points out that the man who was shot had just murdered an entire family, and that is not the side of the story we know. That even when the United States pulled our military out of danger, the war continued for the Vietnamese. We proclaim life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, but for whom? If you had to describe an American identity in one word, what word would you use?
Brazen.
Gluttonous.
Ignorant.
Entertainment.
Afraid.
One nation, under God.
Benedict Anderson described nationhood as an imagined community, a community constructed by people who perceive themselves as part of a larger group. He writes that the nation is always conceived as a deep horizontal comradeship, and that ultimately it is this fraternity that makes it possible, over the past 2 centuries, for so many millions of people not so much to kill as willingly to die for such limited imaginings. We perform our patriotism to the point of death. I would not be here if other men and women had not died to make this country possible. I know that. But I am sad that our patriotism is born from a place that says, we, our community, is better than others. We deserve this form of existence more than other people deserve to live. Our country teaches children to treat others the way they want to be treated, while simultaneously teaching them the opposite, that some people matter more than others. If you had to describe an American identity in one word, what word would you use?
Pride.
Overcompensate.
Bully.
Democracy.
Indivisible.
Our rhetoric says indivisible, but as a nation we are divided into liberals and conservatives, whites and not whites, natural-born citizens and immigrants. We have forgotten that our nation was founded by immigrants. Our land belonged to indigenous peoples. We are the ones who divided it amongst ourselves. In the introduction to his cookbook, Asian American, Proudly Inauthentic Recipes from the Philippines to Brooklyn, Dale Talde shares his childhood experience of living 2 lives, one Filipino and one American. He writes, "It's not that we didn't want to be Filipino. We just badly wanted to be American, or at least to find a way to fit in. I embraced my American identity, though my Filipino life kept intruding. Talde grew up craving American fast food, and as a cook, he fuses Asian and American flavors to create something new. His work is reminiscent of the young United States, when our country was shaped by immigrants who wanted to create something new. Today, words with power like authenticity, illegal, and border control limit our integration. They divide us. If you had to describe an American identity in one word, what word would you use?
Ethnocentric.
Hodgepodge.
Oblivious.
Hopeful.
Ignorant.
With liberty and justice for all.
Why must we make America great again? Was this country ever truly great? It seems like there has been a collective reimagining of our past, some nostalgic creation of a homeland America whose greatness I cannot see. 242 years after declaring independence to create a land of the free, so many men and women are not free. Systematic oppression prevents liberty and justice, and we're only starting to explore how to dismantle it from the top down rather than from the bottom up. Progress is slow. If being an American means so many different things to different people, where does that leave me? I have never left this country, have never lived outside the state named for our first president. I have no cultural ties to other nations. This is my home, but I cannot support many aspects of American culture. I am no longer sure what it means to be American. I do not know what it means to say, I pledge allegiance to a country that is responsible for many good things for me and many terrible things for others, even though I have already said that 2,340 times. If I had to describe an American identity in one word, what word would I use? Contradictory.